As Annie said, my name is Kellie Smith, and I am a quilt teacher in Ogden, Utah. I've been teaching for, I've been teaching quilting for about 13 years, but I have taught clothing, construction for many, many, many years. I learned how to quilt or learned how to sew, I should say, at my mom's sewing machine as I was playing with it and messing it up. That's what little 8-year-olds do. They're trying to make their Barbie clothes. I am an avid quilter. I have 6 grandsons that actually love all my quilts. I am so fortunate that these 6 little boys ask for quilts from Oma, and they're my inspiration, I should say. I am a happy Oma with those 6 little boys, and I have 3 children and a husband, and we've been married for about, it's going to be 38 years this year. I just realized. So my quilt journey began, again, about 13 years ago. It's actually longer ago than that. I started quilting just after I got married. I never really did any quilting before that. My first quilts were whole cloth quilts, and I don't even know if I have them anymore because, my second quilt was a piece quilt, and again, I don't even know what happened to it. It wasn't very memorable. We'll just say that. And I started doing a lot of quilts. I would do up to 40 quilts a year. When I say I'm prolific, I am very prolific. I haven't done that a lot. 2020 changed everything, I think, for everyone, and especially me. I was diagnosed in 2021 with an autoimmune disease, and it sort of changed everything for me, and I became, I don't know, more wild, I guess you could say. That was about the time that I made my first jacket, was in 2020, and I started teaching classes on how to make jackets at about that time as well. And now I'm a little bit addicted to making jackets. Jackets transformed into bags, which transformed into shoes. And I do just a little bit of everything now. I work for a nonprofit in Ogden that I absolutely love, and I teach women how to quilt and sew. And one of the ladies in my class, yesterday, I told them where I was coming, and they said, "Oh, you have to wear that skirt." One of my ladies is in love with this skirt, and she said, "You have to wear that skirt." So I will show you. This is one of my first quilt adventures, I guess you could say. And like I said, I love bright colors. Not everything is bright colors for me, but I love bright colors. And so this skirt was one of the very first things quilt clothing wise that I made. Then it went into the jackets more. And I did not bring my first jacket because it's boring. It's just gray and it's boring. But it goes with everything. And that's what I was looking at, was something that went with everything. But so, like I said, it sort of has changed over the years. I have several of them, and I don't know if anybody would like to try them on and model them for me. If not, that's okay. You want to do it? Okay. Okay, come on up. Come on up. Okay, so I have taken just about anything and turned it into a quilt, or not a quilt, into a jacket. One of my first jackets, now this is one of my most loved jackets. Now, most of my jackets are using the Tamarack pattern by Grain Line Studios. I have a few others that are not. This one was an old quilt. And my boss at work was going to throw it away. And I said, no, you're not going to throw that away. And I sort of rescued it. And it was in very poor condition, poor enough condition that it couldn't be repaired. And so I turned it into a jacket. This is the first one that I ever did with a hood as well. I love the hoods. I love hoods on anything. And especially, when it's raining outside, you want to grab something. And these are actually incredibly warm, surprisingly. So I'm gonna let you try this one on.
Can I ask what you did you repair it at all, or did you quilt it again?
No, it wasn't even quilted. It was just a quilt top. I didn't repair anything on it. But I did quilt over a lot of the holes, so hoping that it wouldn't get any worse than what it actually is. So it's pretty heavily quilted.
Turn around.
Turn around, so yeah, turn around. So again, this is one of my most favorite jackets.
Maybe come in the middle so the camera.
Yeah. You need to come down. This one is another rescued. I shouldn't say it was really rescued. I bought the quilt top at an antique store in Ogden. The story behind this, I was going to turn it into a quilt, and then I realized I never was going to do that and decided that it would make a beautiful jacket. So this quilt was actually, and I would love to know the little girl that made this. This quilt was made in 1898, I think. It was pieced by a 9-year-old. And again, I said, I would never turn it into a quilt. And this was the natural way to use it. And it is, I shouldn't say, I keep saying it's one of my favorites. Every one of these jackets are my favorites. I've also taken things that aren't necessarily quilts, I guess. I mean, this is technically a quilt. This jacket is done using a cantha quilt. How many of you have ever heard of cantha quilts? So a cantha quilt is made from, usually made from saris from India. And you can buy them on Amazon. A twin size is usually about $35. It is nice and lightweight, and I love to wear it in the summer when you have to go into those cold buildings. And yet you don't want to wear anything really heavy. This one is a very, very lightweight. Yes?
A C or a K?
K. It's Kantha. And like I said, twin size, and a twin size usually does, makes a jacket with tons to spare. But it's a wonderful way to, if I don't feel like quilting something really quick, I will buy one of those. Or if I'm teaching a class and I want to have one for a display, then I'll buy me a cantha quilt and make one. I have several of them that, for summer wear, they're wonderful, spring or fall. They're absolutely wonderful to wear for that time of year.
Did the stitch, did you do the?
No,
That was on
it was on it already, yeah. You don't have to do anything with it at all. And I love the big stitches on it. Yeah, they're fun. That one is actually, because it's so bright and happy, I had to bring that one because it's so bright and happy. You'll notice when she brings this around, you'll notice that I do finish the inside of all my jackets, except for one. I like to have them completely finished on the inside. Most of my jackets are heavy enough that just using a serger is not, don't trust my serger actually sewing through all of that quilted fabric. And so I do finish all of my insides with binding. It does take a little bit more time, but it's well worth it. Wouldn't you agree, Annie?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I hated it every
Yeah, yeah. That's the part that everybody curses me on. The pattern actually doesn't even call for you to bind the inside of it, if I remember correctly. But I feel that it's necessary to bind all of my jackets on the inside.
Do you bind with bias or straight?
Always bias. Yeah, always bias. At least on these, because there are so many curves on it that you need the bias on it, and it just makes it look better. I don't think that I've ever used just straight binding on it. It's always been bias. Then something inspired me, and I thought, and this one's not going to be easy. You can just kick it around. I decided, why not take a sweatshirt pattern? Good luck on getting it off. It's a little bit hard to get off. Yeah, she might have to take it home. But I came up with the bright idea, why not take a sweatshirt pattern? This is, I think, a simplicity pattern. I usually don't buy name brand patterns. I usually buy off indie patterns is what they're called. But this one, I just couldn't resist. It is done, I think, 2 sizes larger than my regular size, just so that I know that it will fit over my head. I've made several of these, and they're nice just to pull over really quick when you're going out. I absolutely love this one. You're gonna get used to me saying I absolutely love it. It is a little bit difficult to get out, but I've learned other things, so.
Oh my God.
Okay. Yeah. I told you, it's not the easiest thing to get off. Okay, so, about 2 years ago, I think it was, I took a class in Brigham City at Village Dry Goods. And the teacher was teaching us one of 2 things. She said we could either take a jacket, a denim jacket. And I think this is just one that I had in my closet, and deconstruct it just a tiny bit by taking off the sleeves and putting quilted sleeves on. I would have never thought of doing that, but what a great way to add quilts into just a regular jacket. And don't take this one.
Is that clamshell a cheater or is it?
No, I made it.
And then you cut it up.
Yeah, it didn't take too much. It didn't waste too much fabric because I only had to do a small portion, just enough to be able to get the sleeves out of it, and I was fine. And I have started to put labels on most of my jackets. So this one says on the sleeve, I'm an original.
Oh, neat.
Because nobody else has one like it. No, that's one nice thing about making quilted jackets is nobody's gonna have one exactly like yours. They're so personal. This quilt was, so a lady in our ward passed away and her daughter was getting rid of a lot of her quilting things. And she had these blocks already made. So I just pieced them together. It is a little worn. You can see on the front of it, this block is getting a little worn. But this is the Beachcomber. I think it's the Beachcomber by Adita Sitar. So this has a sweatshirt on the inside of it, and I quilted the sweatshirt. That's the batting that I used on the inside. So it's a little bit heavier than necessarily than what I wanted, I guess. But it's still a nice warm jacket. This was the first jacket that I did and put a zipper in it. I learned a lot doing this. It is a little bit wavy, but once you get it zipped up, it's fine. Now we're going to move on to, she's beautiful. I have a tendency to take a lot of old quilts and turn them into things. I like to go to estate sales, antique stores, thrift stores, almost anywhere. I always check to see what they have that I can turn into a jacket. This one though has a lot of memories for me. My great grandmother made this quilt for my parents when they got married. And it was in very, 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 very poor condition. And there was no way that I could fix it or anything. And I was afraid that just displaying it, my grandsons will get to it and who knows. So I decided to turn it into a vest. I still have quite a bit of this fabric, fortunately. One of these years I'll make something for my sisters as well out of it. But this one just holds some memories. I don't remember it ever being on my parents' bed. I know that it was. They wore it to death, you can see. But my mom kept it in her hope chest, in her cedar chest for years and years and years. But this one is one of my favorites. Because of the memories. Like I said, you're going to hear this is one of my favorites. But the memories that this quilt brings to me, I think is invaluable. This is something that I will never get rid of. I will always have this in my wardrobe. So let's do this one. And then, like I said, I've gone on. This is another one, and one of these years I will be doing this one is as a quilt. This one is the Ruby Vest by, I can't remember who made it, who designed it. It's a little bit bigger, it's nice and comfy. I'm all about comfort. The more comfort, the better. I actually, I teach a sewing class at work as well. I do quilting and sewing both. And I had a couple of my ladies make this vest a few weeks ago, and they turned out so beautiful. And it is really seriously a very, very easy pattern, especially if you get pre-quilted fabric. Pre-quilted fabric is really, really nice for turning into jackets, because then you don't have to quilt anything.
Where do you get that at now?
There's actually a resurgence of it. I think I've seen it at Hobby Lobby, but I know you can get them online as well. Yeah, I've seen quite a bit of it online. But you know what an easy way to turn into a jacket, a vest or anything pre-quilted fabric. It saves you a lot of time as well. Now this is my last one. I just finished this one. This is a deconstructed hoodie. I took the entire hoodie apart. It did not have a zipper in it, and I put the zipper in it. Some of my favorite features of this is the ribbon, the Tula Pink ribbon on it. All of the fabrics that are in this are Tula Pink. Now, I have been saving up selvages for a long time to make me a jacket out of. I know I'm crazy. I had to use some of them that I have to make this jacket. So all of the selvages that are in this, and don't get rid of your selvages, because there are so many fun things that you can make out of your selvages. I've made rope bowls. I did a lamp shade. There's so many fun things that you can use your selvages out of. And they're making them so they're fun now too. They're not just plain. This has buttons on it. I have paw prints. I think this might be a leopard. Raindrops. There's so many fun things in the selvages now. Don't throw them away. If you do, I will give you my number. You can call me and send them to me. I love this one. because if you look closely at it, because it is Tula Pink, and Tula Pink is crazy, and she likes to put animals and faces and all kinds of interesting things on her fabrics. So you will see I have a raccoon, there's a lion's face, his chin, there's squirrels, there's
There's a boar.
butterflies, there's a boar, yeah. There's a fox. Yeah, there's a lot of different things. This is called my I Spy jacket for my grandsons. So that they can look at it and see if they can find all the animals that are on it. This actually even has one of Annie's labels in it too. It's her goat, Clifford, and I had to add I had to have Clifford on it, it has animals on it, so why not? This one was really actually pretty easy to make. There is no batting in it at all. I just quilted the jacket, or quilted the front of it straight onto the sweatshirt. So the sweatshirt has completely been deconstructed. And then it is just a pullover, and then I added the zipper into it.
So even, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Even the hood, you cut the hood off and then quilted it? Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and then put it back on?
Yeah. Yeah. It is completely deconstructed.
Did you buy it 2 sizes bigger, like?
I think I only bought it 1 size bigger. Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think it's just 1 size bigger than what. I was afraid to do it 2 sizes bigger because then the instructions on the pattern that I base this off of gives you instructions on how to tailor it a little bit more so it's not so big on you. I'm lazy and I don't like to do that kind of thing. And so it's just the deconstructed. And I took the sleeves off, I took the hood off, I took the pocket off, and then reconstructed all of it.
Did you take the drawstring area out of the hood?
No,
Okay.
I didn't. You can look at it and see. It was actually 2 layers on the jacket hood. And I cut off one of the layers because I didn't want it that heavy. This is going to be a class that, well, I shouldn't say I'm going to be teaching it. I'm hoping I have proposed this as a class for the Utah Quilt Guild Quilt Fest in October, and I'm hoping that it will be accepted. They like my jackets, so I'm assuming
I'll be there.
you'll be there.
Is
I
Quilt
bet
Fest in
y'all bring some friends.
What?
Is Quilt Fest in Ogden?
No, it'll be in Layton. Yeah. Okay, now let's talk about my skirts. This was, I don't even know if I saw this idea online or anything. I thought, why not create a piece of fabric and cut it apart and then resew it together? I mean, I think we're all a little bit crazy, aren't we? And so that's what I did. This is actually lined on the inside as well. So I did it sort of like a quilt as you go, I guess. This one I did do top stitching on it. It was not the easiest thing I've ever made because I wanted to make sure that the fabrics met in the middle, the correct fabric, it matched. I think I did that in the back as well. So it matches front and back. Yeah, on the sides. It was, like I said, it was not the easiest thing. But listening to my mom and her teaching me when I was young how to match things, make sure that you have your notches and, all that little stuff that I don't pay attention to when I make clothing anymore. But that's what I did with this to make sure that it matched perfectly. Was not the easiest thing. The second one that I made, I messed up and it does not match fabric, but it gives you a totally different look from this to this.
Still cute.
Yeah. It's still, I love these skirts. They probably get more compliments out of anything that I wear, to tell you the truth.
Did you use a pattern?
Yes, it's an indie pattern. I cannot remember which one it is. Like I said, I do not buy mainstream patterns very often. More than likely, this is a Style Arc pattern. I can't remember for sure. But if you wonder what indie patterns are, there's a lot of designers out there that I guess McCall's and Simplicity and whatever, I don't even know if they tried to sell their patterns on there. That they said, yeah, no, you can't sell your patterns to us. But they made up their own patterns. And they fit better than mainstream patterns. They actually, you know, I used to sew for myself quite often. And one time I was making myself a skirt and I made the pat size. And I don't know why I did this, but it was a dumb mistake. But I made the size that I thought I was, not paying any attention to the measurements on it, which is not a good idea when it comes to those patterns. And so I made this beautiful skirt and tried it on, and it was too small. And then I decided, oh, let's look at the sizing. And I realized that, you know, I had made a size 12, but according to the pattern, I was a size 22. And I thought, there is no way I am ever going to be a size 22. And it was all sort of an ego thing, I guess you could say. That I know I'm not a size 22, so I'm not going to make myself a size 22. And that canceled me. That stopped me from making clothing for myself for a very long time. I know, stupid. Then I decided I found indie patterns. The first indie pattern that I made was my jackets. Indie, I-N-D-I-E is what they're called. And if you look up online, if you're interested in it, if you look up online for indie patterns, there's a ton of different companies that come up. And I buy from almost all of them and I have no problem with them. I love them. They're a little bit more. So for instance, on the Tamarack jacket, I'm a size 12. I can make a size 12 and it fits me. They're not weirdly sized. So this is my skirt. These are my skirts. And I was told that I had to wear my skirts just to show off. And I took a poll according to my ladies in quilt group and they all said, yes, I had to wear this one. So, okay, then I got even crazier. I told you, 2020 made me go crazy. And I think a lot of people did, but it made me start to think about some other things. And I got online. I don't know if it was a YouTube video or if it was on Instagram. I think it may have been on Instagram. And I saw somebody had made their own sneakers. And I went crazy. I thought, how is this possible? There are a few tutorials online on how to do them, but not many at all. I sort of figured it out as I went along, and the results are these. I do not have my first pair any longer. I have a tendency to decide I don't like my shoe anymore, and I will take the top off and make me another pair. Well, when I tell you how much these soles are, you will say, yeah, that makes sense. The soles are about $60 a piece. So if you think you're going to be getting a pair of shoes that are cheap, you're not. It does take a lot of work, but you have one-of-a-kind shoes. This pair was supposed to be for a Hoffman challenge. So this is all, they're dusty too. This is a Hoffman, these are Hoffman batiks. And Originally, they were supposed to have little stars all over it because I thought that would look really cool. And then I figured out that my pattern was too small. My shoe top pattern was too small, so I had to redo it. So I took all the scraps and sewed all the scraps together. And there's some tiny pieces in here, tiny pieces. But they are addicting. What I like about these, like I said before, is that when I get tired of the shoe, I just take it off and do another one. I think all of mine I've done that with. I'll show you. These are well loved. You can see they're pretty dirty. But another thing that's really popular right now is to embroider on your shoes. And I have actually thought about doing a pair of sneakers like this and then embroidering on it. Another thing so in June of 24, I was in a pretty serious bicycle accident. And my husband felt sorry for me, I think. And he bought me an embroidery machine. And I'm pretty sure that it was because he felt sorry for me, because he wouldn't have done that otherwise. Hey, I'm not going to complain. So one of my next pairs, I'm actually going to embroider something fun on the side of the shoe. This is a pair that had another shoe on it not too long ago, and I took the top off. I just finished these last night. I took the top of them off and put this one on. This is, and if you think this is difficult, it really is not, because all you're doing is piecing a fat quarter. It needs to be 18 by 22 inches. And so you can go as wild as you want when it comes to piecing for shoes, because you don't have to do it on a big scale. You can, in fact, I had, and I'm going to toot my own horn. I taught a class a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, I guess it was. And one of my students made the most beautiful pair of shoes. They were so fun. They had little tiny flying geese on the side of them. Little itty bitty teeny tiny flying geese on the side of them. And she submitted it to one of the quilt magazines, and now I can't remember which one. And they accepted her picture, and she was published with her shoes. So I feel like I'm sort of, kind of a celebrity. I'm living vicariously through her.
And I know her.
Yeah. Yeah, you do, don't you? Yeah. So these, I have changed the pattern a little teeny tiny bit from what the original was. I just tweaked it a little bit so that it fits a little bit better. But these shoes really seriously are addicting. Piecing them, you can add fun ribbon on them. You can do almost anything. You could even put ribbon on here. One of the ladies in my first class, she took chenille it, and she didn't realize that she needed to have a little bit more stability where the grommets go. And so she just took a piece of fabric and put it right over here, and she had the seam, and she didn't want that seam to be seen. And so she took chenille it and just placed the chenille it over the top of that seam. So cute, so much fun. There's so many different things that you can do with these shoes. Yes?
So do you actually sew it onto that?
I do.
With your machine?
Yeah. No, you do it by hand. I'm not going to pass these around because, they have been worn and they're dirty on the bottom. Afterwards, if you would like to come up and look at them, you're more than welcome to come and look at them and see. So these shoe bases were actually made for people who like to do leather. And so in my mind, of course, I have to do leather too. So I went and bought a small piece of leather and did high tops out of leather. Now these aren't really high tops. They're sort of they're not as high as what Annie's are. They're sort of a mid-high top, I guess you could say. But of course, you know, I had to do the high tops out of leather. I told you I'm crazy. One of the other things that I decided to try is cork. And I don't know how many of you have ever worked with cork. Cork isn't like what you think it is anymore. I do have to replace some of the grommets on these. But it's soft like fabric. I saw a pair of these made out of cork at a quilt show in Phoenix a few years ago and fell in love with the designer of the cork and had to, of course, make my own pair out of cork. They're a lot, like I said, they're a lot softer than what you think they are. And these, I do line them, so they are lined, and they do have, I do bind them as well. I just like the look of the binding, the contrast between the binding and the fabric. I think that's all my pairs of shoes. Oh, no. So crazy me, you know, I see a pair of Converse, I believe it is, in a gingham. You know, gingham is so nostalgic to me. 1970s, you know, gingham. So of course I decided I had to make a pair of gingham shoes. I decided I was too cheap to buy a pair of Converse. And yet, crazy me didn't think that maybe, just maybe, these would be just as expensive as the Converse. But they're so cute. And like I said, they are one of a kind, something that nobody else is going to have at all. And then, of course, hats. When I say I can take anything and make it into a wearable piece of art, hats are so much fun. They are so much fun. These are my go-to hats. They provide just the perfect amount of shade for me. You know, when we go up to our cabin in Idaho, well, we are in Idaho. When we go up to our cabin, they're perfect just to throw on. Yes, did you have a question? It is from Art Gallery. I cannot remember. I know it's a bucket hat from Art Gallery. I cannot remember the name of exactly. But of course, you know, everybody needs to have a cute hat made out of cake or Anna Marie Horner, right? Why not? Why not? One thing also, I have started making bags as well. And we always need a bag to match our skirt. I didn't even notice that until somebody brought it up in church. She said, your bag matches your skirt. Wow. So this bag is a pattern from, it's called a Franken bag. And you don't have, there's no real pattern on how to do this. She gives you basic instructions on how to do this, just with creating your bag, creating your quilt, and then cutting it apart. And what's fun with this is that I took leftovers from this skirt to make this bag, except for this square. I think I used it, I made it for something else and decided. So with the Franken bag, you can turn any of your leftovers into a bag. Franken bag. And they're just fun to make. You know, bags are almost as fun to make as jackets. Almost. But it depends on the bag. Now, I'm going to show you one of my favorite bags. Now I can't even remember the name of it. Oh, this is the Tidy Tote. Yes, it's been a while. So this is the Tidy Tote, and I have mine all zipped up. But inside of it is the most fabulous fun you'll ever have. How fun would it be to put all of the things that you need for a class inside this? The tote on top fits projects, so you can put your fabric there. Then you can put your pattern, your rulers, anything that you need on the side. And then the little storage drawers fit just about everything, including,
Oh, geez. Oh, geez.
no, including, this is my emotional support project. This is my next jacket. I'm gonna turn a denim jacket into, think about the 1970s, the 1960s, and the biker's jackets with all of the patches on it. That's my next project. Yeah, this is Annie. I made these for, I don't know which class was it. Was it the tote class? Yeah. So I made these for the people in my tote class. It was one of them. Yeah. Anyway, there's so many different things that you can do with already purchased clothing too. And I think you're gonna have, I don't see her, she must be over there somewhere. You're gonna have somebody come in and show you her fabulous pants. That's my next project as well. No, she's standing over there. So you can see her fabulous pants. Yeah, she's supposed to be coming over. She's supposed to be presenting, I think, next. But, think out of the box. I know so many of us are so focused on making quilts, but why not turn our quilts into something fabulous? Into making a bag, making a tote. This is another tote that I absolutely love. This is by So Organized Designs. And they come in several different sizes. This is the medium, and I've made the large as well. What I like about these is that you can remove the frame and wash the bag itself if you want to. It's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Yes?
Your craft bag, what pattern did you use or how did you?
What, this one?
Yeah.
The tote? This is called a tidy tote. And I'm going to tell you, it is not for the faint of heart.
No.
At all. Yeah. In fact, the class that I taught should have been done in 2 days.
So that one,
Seriously.
you take a class for that one too, the red one.
Yeah. This is Annie's. You definitely, I decided I was crazy one weekend and decided to make it. The zipper itself, I think, took me 3 times to get it right. It's a little bit confusing when you put the zipper in. It is not for the faint of heart at all. It really, yes.
How long is that zipper?
30 inches, I think. Yeah.
Did you want to unbutton it?
Oh, yes.
I bought the stupid zipper for it, so it.
Yeah, we're not going to zip up her zipper because her zipper is weird. She even admits it. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you. So, I love this tote. I love to take it to classes with me. Anytime I need to take, when we go up to our cabin, of course I have a sewing machine up there and I have to put all of my supplies and my projects in my tote bag. It's just so nice to have everything that you need right there in a nice large bag instead of just a little tiny one. And then of course I have gone into making purses as well.
Nice.
This is from, take this out. This is a noodle head pattern and it is made, I'm trying to think, sandhill sling. Bags are not as hard as what you think they are. And again, you're gonna get something that nobody else has at all. That is my goal in life, is to create things that nobody else has. And I think I have succeeded somewhat. Also, can we talk about embroidery?
Yes. I love it.
I know, embroidery is so much fun. And why not make something that is pieced as well? I have a problem. Well, okay, I'm gonna admit it. I have a problem with scissors. I have a problem with pins, and I have a problem with pin cushions. Those are the things that I have a tendency to collect most of all. And this one is embroidered.
Sweet pea.
Sweet pea, yes,
Yep.
thank you. It's a sweet pea design. Anything that you can turn into a quilt, turn a quilt into, is what I focus on most of all. Any other questions?
Do you like the noodle head patterns?
I do.
Because I just bought one this morning.
Which one did you buy?
The baking backpack, so it's.
Yes.
It's pretty
Yeah,
much
yeah,
that
it's
one.
the same thing, yeah. No, I love noodle head. One thing about the indie patterns I have found is that they're easier to read. Their instructions are so much better than any of the other patterns out there. You don't have to scratch your head. When I used to make clothing from McCall's and Simplicity, I wouldn't read the instructions because they made no sense to me, and they still don't make any sense to me.
I made a dress for my daughter and I was in tears and I'm like, I'm gonna go. And then I was like, no, I'm gonna do this. And I
Yeah.
didn't, but it really made me frustrated.
Yeah, yeah. They don't make much sense at all. So indie patterns are the way to go. And you can find indie patterns for children as well. Not just adults, they have them for men, they have them for children and women. They have them in just about anything that you can think of too. Any, bags, pants, they have everything imaginable. Okay, any other questions? I'd like to thank you for inviting me here. I thought that this was gonna last 10 minutes. And it's lasted a lot longer. Does anybody have any questions? You're welcome to, yes.
Do you teach the classes?
Yes, yeah, I
Do
do.
you have a business, a shop? Or?
I don't, no. I used to work in a shop. Now I am just sort of independent, and if a store or anywhere, a store or a quilt group or anything like that want me to come and teach, then I do. In fact, I have a shoe class coming up that's going to be a retreat by a bunch of friends. So I'll do, whatever. I have no problem with that. I love teaching. Any other questions? All right, thank you so much for letting me.